AC, it has been 3 months since our last interview. I believe we done it on the 31st of March. And at that time, I remember you saying you had made $20,000 in the past week. So how has everything developed for you since? Are there more profits to speak about and any other changes?
Yeah, absolutely. I had some more profits in April, which I spoke about in two other interviews. It was on the Jay Waller Wins channel and one on Satoru Shooter's channel. And then in May, I have some more unannounced profits, which was 50K, which was pretty neat because also we were in a very bearish market with a lot of FUD and everything going around with SEC and Binance suing, etc. So it was good to make some money amid all the chaos. And since then, I've chilled out quite a bit and I'm slowly getting back into the market again.
And what was the reason for getting out of the market after having a 50,000 win?
Well, it's just because things look a little bit too noisy to actually to have any positive expected value from my trades. So I decided to steer clear of it. It's part of, well, holding cash is also a strategy. So at a
Yeah.
tactical moment.
Interesting, because I mean, a lot of people who invest casually, they'll just put it in and then hope for the best and wait until it rises. I don't think they really consider cash as a strategy. So it's interesting that you implemented that. What kind of indicators do you have that tell you that it's better to hold cash instead of investing in?
Basically, generally, if you're in a negative trend, it's cash. But if it's extremely negative, then I'll consider shorting. That's how I'll put it. That's as much as
Yeah.
I'll share.
So during May, was it extremely negative?
Well, that particular time period was, I believe, 5th May to 12th. That's when we had multiple red candles in a row, and that's where I made a lot of money. And then before that and after that, I was mostly holding cash.
Okay, got it. So while everyone else was suffering, you were making money.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And what other developments have there been over the past 3 months?
Yeah, yeah, there have been a few other developments. Like, I think Friday. Yes, last Friday, I went to my barber and I showed him a picture of you, and this is the result.
Ah, yeah, it looks just like my hair. Wow. You look amazing.
Yeah, it's ever so slightly longer at the top and shorter at the side.
Right,
Now,
right,
this
right.
lighting
Yeah.
isn't making it look very good, but I quite
So
like it.
instead of the take cut, you went and said, give me the raucous cut.
Yeah, the Rocker's cut, which
Okay.
I think is more suitable for people without facial hair.
Okay. Interesting.
Yep. There's also but now that I have created a system that works quite well, back to the serious stuff. Now that we have created a system, I am able to spend a lot more time innovating and finding new ways to continue expanding my investing knowledge. Because basically, when you start out becoming an investor, there are a lot of decisions you need to make. What is the type of information you're going to use? What's the time frame you're going to decide on, etc. And when you are learning from the professors, basically you just take whatever choice that they are giving to you, whatever they recommend you take after it. And I have not had the opportunity to verify why the professors are making the choices they are making. So, in order to expand my knowledge and really verify it for myself, I have been trying to trade in styles that are opposite to the professors. I don't mean counter trading them. I mean, instead of trend following, I'm doing mean reversion, for example. And I'll elaborate a bit on that. So, my professor basically uses a trend following system, which, to put it simply, means that you are betting on the current trend continuing. If the current trend is positive, you go long, anticipating the positive trend to continue. The other way to trade about it is mean reversion, which basically says whether the asset is cheap or expensive. And in this way, they have somewhat opposite behaviors. Because when price rises, a trend follower will say, the trend is up, it's time to buy. A mean reverter will say, now it's a bit expensive, it's time to sell. So they will perform well in different climates depending on the situation. And I want to see for myself what's going on. So yeah, I have now graduated from all of the lessons and all of the tasks necessary to create a system just like my professors. Not identical, but it's working. It's working so far. And I'm using the extra time to now explore other areas.
So when you mentioned your professor, was it Michael or Adam that you were talking about?
I was referring to Professor Adam.
Okay, Adam. Have you gone through any of Michael's work?
Yeah. I've been going through Michael's work, and in fact, he just re-recorded everything, and so he made a huge sacrifice for us students. Instead of actively looking out in the markets and trading and making a whole bunch of money when we have, he has spent the time mostly recreating all the lessons, and he created a whole new boot camp, which is basically it's a it's kind of like a dojo of sorts where you're given a digital white belt, and through a series of tasks you get to advance and eventually reach black belt. And this is something expected to take several months, maybe a year, 2 years. And the beautiful thing about this is that it's more than just about trading. It's about becoming a more consistent person. So throughout the boot camp, there are activities like setting goals, setting 3-year goals, weekly goals, daily tasks to do. And yeah, he's really caring for the students' well-being beyond just how good they'll be getting at trading.
Interesting. You're the first person I've interviewed who's gone through Michael's course. So that was very interesting to hear. I didn't know that was happening. And how much of it have you gone through at this point?
I've been through. I don't really know how to quantify it because we are all taking it one day at a time, but he has all this pre-recorded material that we could reference if we wanted to. So I did skip ahead a little bit and look at some of the lessons, but as for the day-by-day bootcamp tasks, I've been following him sequentially, and I'm
Okay.
a few weeks in, yeah.
Has that helped you understand the professors, why they do what they do? Did it help you understand that better? Or is it still something you're trying to work out through testing for yourself?
Oh, you mean when you say why they do what they do, you mean their investing style? Or?
Because you said, let's say if they do trend following, you're doing mean reversion just to understand better why they do what they do.
Mhm.
So is Michael's course something that helped you get closer to that?
Yeah, I'm can't speak for that too much because the thing that I'm trying to challenge now is Adam's teaching. That's the one that I understand best, and which is why I have the most room for freedom to innovate in that field. Now, for Michael's teachings, I am not as good or as familiar with his content as I am with Adam. So the priority now with Michael's teachings is to follow his advice throughout first. And then when the time comes when I feel that I know it well enough, then I can start to think of some new stuff to do.
Okay, so I guess that was my misunderstanding there. You're saying that Michael's strategies and Adam's strategies don't correlate that much, right?
They are completely different. And they in fact disagree on some fundamental things. Yeah, so but eventually they are both individually profitable because that's how trading works. You have your own you start to form your own type of risk tolerance, and therefore that will influence the type of investing you'll do, and that's when you form your own beliefs on what works and what does not work. So when they say something works or something doesn't work, they mean it for themselves. And then if you want to learn from a single mentor and you want to succeed, then you can pick up after them.
Interesting. Okay. So now that I have a better understanding of that, let's go back to what you were saying about mean reversion, the example you gave. How exactly did that help you better understand Adam's trading?
It's not to understand Adam's trading, it's to understand why he's picking trend following over mean reversion. Because the
Wow.
trend following and mean reversion will perform well in different climates. If, say, we are in a trending market with huge moves, right? We get a huge up move and a huge down move. A trend follower will do exceedingly well because he buys on a positive trend condition, rides it all the way to the top, and maybe the market dips a bit. Okay, the trend is now negative, time to sell, and he enjoys maybe shorting the whole market all the way down. And a mean reverter will not do so well here because when maybe he buys at the bottom, the market starts to trend up a little bit, and now it's starting to look expensive, so it's time to sell, and he misses this entire move up. So in a trending market, a mean reverter will not do very well. But the reverse is true in a ranging market. Now, a ranging market is one where the price just follows a very small channel. And this is where mean reverters will excel because they are buying it cheap, they're selling it expensive, buying it cheap, selling it when it's expensive, and they are just printing money the whole way through. Whereas a trend follower would tend to lose money during such periods because as price gets cheaper, they think that it's a negative trend, and so they might short the market only for it to go up again. And now it looks like a positive trend, and so they buy it. And so a trend follower will have many small losses throughout a ranging environment. It will capture many big moves in a trending environment. And for a mean reverter, it's the other way around. So,
Good.
and because the market is very competitive, we oscillate between different types of market regimes. So I wanted to find out which could yield the greatest amount of profit, which has the least risk over a long time frame, over like the last 5 years.
And what stops someone from being both a proficient mean reversion trader and trend follower?
Because the signals are contradictory. When price starts to go up, a trend follower will necessarily buy because it's a positive trend, whereas a mean reversion guy would say it's too expensive and so it's time to sell. So
I
it's
see.
difficult. I mean, you can try to weight the two. I'm also trying to do that. A lot of students have tried to do that, none of them with success, but I still want to find out for myself. Is there a way to say, if the market is this overbought, but the trend is this positive, then how do you weigh the two together? Trying to figure these things out. Maybe you can get, I don't know, it's not likely I can get the best of both worlds, but I'm willing to put in the work and find out why for myself at least.
All right. Okay. Very interesting. Thank you for that breakdown. And what about your chess? Has that progressed as well?
Yeah, actually, I've managed to take out some of my massive profits from crypto, and now I'm able to invest a lot more time into these crypto projects. And by projects, I mean the creation of my systems. And so as you can see, I no longer have the green screen behind me because I was able to stop needing to take so many projects for chess, for content creation, and focus my time a lot more on what I enjoy most, which is chess coaching and creating crypto systems and innovating. So the real world, this crypto campus has bought me a lot of extra time, a lot of extra freedom to explore whatever direction I wish to.
Okay. So, well, you've taken on more students as a chess coach, or have you been doing courses for chess?
Oh yeah, for those who have not seen the first interview or don't remember the first interview, basically the bulk of what I do in chess is content creation, which needs the green screen and needs all the high quality equipment, and chess coaching. Now I enjoy chess coaching far more than the content creation. So now that I've made enough money from the real world, I'm able to stop doing the content creation part, get this green screen out of the way, and now I'm just teaching the students who are most interested to learn. And then the remainder of the time that I would otherwise have spent on content creation, it's now focused on crypto stuff.
Good. Okay. And what about physicality or mentality? Have you noticed changes in either of those or both of those in those 3 months?
But it's great that you mentioned this. So I haven't been in good shape for a pretty long time. And by good shape, I mean like in peak physical shape. Because back when I was 13, I was a competitive runner and I was really good at the time. I did 2.4 kilometers, or it's 1.5 miles, in like 9 minutes, I think, or slightly more than 9 minutes. And then after a while, I lost my fitness and I never quite got it back. And so now that I've made a whole bunch of money, it's bought me a lot of extra time because again, I don't have to make content. I don't have to go to university or anything. So I'm able to go for very, very long workouts now. I can go for 3 hours, go all out. And normally where I would conclude my run and just go back home, I could rest there for another 20 minutes and then go at it again, go for another run until I'm completely exhausted. Then I take my time to recover and stretch and everything. And I really I really appreciate the freedom that the money has gotten me. So that's pretty neat. And on top of that, the culture in the real world also emphasizes a lot on physicality. So yeah, everything is just pushing me towards becoming a fitter and fitter person. And I know that there are a lot of a lot of students in the real world especially got the health up first, and then with a clearer mind, they were able to win the money game much better. For me, I happen to do it the other way around.
Completely fair. And yeah, good to hear that health is leveling up. What about mentality? Anything to mention there?
Mentality, yep. I'm also inviting a lot more voluntary suffering into my life. Rockets, have you heard of Wim Hof breathing?
Yes.
Right. Basically, it's where you take a couple of deep breaths, and then eventually you exhale fully, and you just keep the air out of your lungs for as long as you can, and then finally you breathe it back in. And I find this to be exceptionally helpful in improving my stress, in improving my tolerance to stress. And so now I'm doing that. I'm doing that a lot more, several times a day, and that's also one of the things that I put myself as one of my goals or one of my daily tasks as part of Michael's boot camp. So it's all working together very nicely. I'm improving my resistance to stress by putting myself under a lot more voluntary stress, and it feels far more enjoyable and meaningful, because that's how suffering actually becomes bearable, is that if it has meaning behind it.
So when you were doing the Wim Hof breathing after having exhaled, how long have you held your breath? Like, what do you average?
I don't really time myself. I think it's a minute and a half, maybe.
Why do you not time yourself? Is it just not something you're interested in?
Because I put that as the first activity I do. So before I'm allowed to turn on my phone, I have to do a Wim Hof breathing once. So I don't have a stopwatch with me.
And only once? You don't do 3 rounds?
Yeah. Sometimes I do 3 rounds, sometimes it's two. It depends. My priority now is to just ensure that I get at least 1 round done per day. And then
Cool.
if I'm up for it, I do a few more.
Cool. Okay. When I asked because when I was doing it might sound crazy to people, but you can hold your breath for up to 3 minutes, fairly quote unquote easily. I don't really know for other people, but at least 2 minutes. I've seen just completely average people haven't done it before. Then they do Wim Hof breathing, and they
Mm-hmm.
can just hold their breath for 2 minutes after having exhaled. So
Yeah.
to anyone who thinks that sounds crazy, check out Wim Hof method. See for yourself. Should be an interesting test, just to see what your body is actually capable of without you realizing. Okay, so now continuing with how different is your average day now then compared to 3 months ago?
It's a lot more free. It's a lot more free. When I say free, I don't mean that I have just free time lazing around. I mean that I can deploy my effort wherever I want to. I have the freedom to deploy my effort wherever I want to. So if at the start of the week, I think this particular direction of crypto seems to provide the most promise, then I can just set my time accordingly. Or if I want to do a lot more exercise this week, I can do it that way too. So because and again, it's because of the real world, it's because of the profits that I'm able to make a lot of these decisions and become quite independent, quite free from any external control.
Sure. Good. And that's what a lot of people strive for as well. So good to hear that. And now, since you're on this trajectory, what are your plans in the short term, medium term, and long term?
For the short term, I am most concentrated on Michael's boot camp and my mean reversion systems, and they're somewhat related, because Michael is a mean reversion trader sometimes. Well, he's quite flexible. He does a lot of things. As for the medium to long term, it's actually probably quite similar as well, right? Because it's, again, everything that I've been doing over the last few weeks, last few months. Just get my fitness up and get more and more robust systems that make even more money. And actually, you know what? Now that I brought this fitness thing up, I am reminded of one of my fitness goals that I had. And this was actually set by Professor Adam. So he's a very, very fit guy. And he managed to complete 5 kilometers in under 20 minutes. And so now I'm setting that as my personal goal over the next year.
Okay, interesting. And where you at currently? Have you done a 5 kilometer run as a base point?
No, I haven't done that yet.
Okay, okay, cool.
I'm running on time so far. Yeah.
Okay, fair. So what? In 3 months, when we do another follow up, I'll check up on you. How are you doing
Yes.
on reaching that 20-minute mark for 5K?
Yep.
So, for final question, I believe I asked you this last time as well. I'm just wondering if maybe there's another answer you'll have this time. For people who are unsure about joining the real world, because they could be thinking it could be a scam for the $50, is there any advice you'd have for them that, yeah, again, maybe differs from last time, or you can just say same thing as you said last time?
No, actually, my answer differs this time. If you have any doubts about the real world, don't join it. The reason for that is it's usually the only people who take action to join the real world are those who are already very committed to it and they are willing to invest. And this is probably one of the smallest investments that you could make in your future in terms of how much it costs to find out what it's all about. And even then, there are a good number of people who go into the real world and they don't take the education in there as seriously as they ought to. And so they are missing out a lot on a lot of these gems that the professors are dropping on us. So if someone has any doubts about joining the real world, it's likely that they're not serious enough. And I would recommend that you stay out of it.
Fair enough. Completely fair answer.
Yeah.
So, AC, appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on to update us on your progress. And again, I look forward to doing another follow up in about 3 months or so if you'll be interested. And until then, I wish you all the best.
Right. Yeah. Cheers, Rockers.